Okay, we are live with Volkl. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second day of Virtual Gear Week as we start to kind of wrap up some of the last brands in our lineup, but certainly not the least. It is my pleasure to introduce you to a brand Ski Racing Media has had the opportunity to work closely with throughout their Generations project, amongst many others. Please welcome Volkl marca Dalbello. Now, if you haven't already, please go check out the Generations video that Volkl launched this year. It's currently hosted on our website on Ski Racing Media's homepage. And the video captures athletes like Eric Schlopy and his kids and touches on the legacy of ski racing that Volkl has provided for them over the years. Anyways, back to the main show. Matt, I'm so glad you are here with us tonight. And I'm excited to hear about the up and coming products for the season ahead of us. For all of you joining this evening, Jeff Curtis is behind the screen. And then we have Matt McKenna, Volkl's National Race Manager, who are both joining us this evening. If any of you guys have joined our other presentations we've had this week, we're encouraging everyone to ask questions and engage. Matt will be able to answer all of them either throughout or at the end. And I did hear they are giving something away to their favorite question. So, all right, Matt, I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks, Megan. For those of you that I don't know, I'm Matt McKenna, National Race Manager for MBV. Little history on myself. I went to Burke Mountain Academy, then raced for Colby College in Maine, and then came back to Burke as a coach for 4 years before working with Volkl. I'm heading my 4th season with MVB. So as Megan said, we're really excited to have everybody here, and thank you guys. It's a great opportunity. I think last year this was a really successful event, and we were able to get information out to a bunch of you guys, and so we'll continue with that this year and walk you through our full line of product and everything that we have to offer on the race side of things. This is an opportunity for you guys to gain some knowledge before you head into your local shop for your local fit day, or maybe just that one-on-one fitting. Just trying to give everybody that extra bit of knowledge and a more in-depth look at our full line. Hopefully this year, with everything back to normal, we're moving forward with fit nights throughout the country. So for you guys that can get to those, that's a great opportunity to interact with the product, get sized up, and really get your hands on the product. But this will be a great way to gain some more knowledge before you set foot in that shop, so you can really focus on the fit and getting the right stuff for you. But as Megan said, we're really excited. We'll be giving away this Volkl race backpack at the end. To the question, we'll select somebody, get in the chat, ask a question. You guys have anything, feel like I missed something or want to dive into a little bit deeper as we're going through, feel free, throw your question in the chat and we'll answer it as best we can when we can. So without further, we'll kind of jump into starting with skis, and then we'll work to bindings and then boots, and kind of how they all fit together in a package and which ones match up for ages and all of that. So starting with our junior slalom skis, this was an all new ski last year for us. As Megan mentioned, the Generations campaign is something that's really important to Volkl. We were able to work with our ex-World Cup athletes. It started with Giorgio Roca and Manfred Pronger, 2 elite World Cup athletes that have a lot of experience testing, obviously at a very, very high level, and now have young kids coming up through the program, U12, U14, all the way through their program. So it was a great opportunity to have those parents who, as we all know, parents are very involved in the sport, and those parents certainly are. So to be able to instill a little bit of how testing works with their own children, and really deliver a high level of junior testing. This is something that in the past we haven't been able to do, and go through multiple iterations of prototypes I think we started with 7 or something prototypes and worked our way through to the best ski for that age athlete. So it's not something that was just generated by an engineer sitting behind a computer and then spit out. This is something that was tested on the ground by a number of young athletes at a very high level, with some really strategic testing done behind the scenes. So to dive into a bit of the technology, that got updated last year. This will be a carry through ski for us this year, but they went through all new side cuts and lengths. So a little bit more side cut on the sizes and all new lengths last year. But the biggest one is we changed the construction on the inside. So the tips are, depending on the size of the model, up to 60% softer torsionally. This allows that athlete to initiate the turn and get in, but also importantly, get out of the turn as well and release that ski down the hill. So just making it more user-friendly and easier for that athlete at a young age to really progress the way that they need to. The other construction change is it's progressive up through the line. So at those smaller sizes, that 118, 122, 129, the wood core is a 50-50 beech poplar. And as we progress up into the 136, 143, and then the 150, the wood core changes to a 33, 63, or 66, excuse me, percentage construction. So just a beefier ski as it moves up through the line, being able to match that athlete as they progress, not only in ability, but also in size, as well as the thickness of the titanol, the metal in the ski. That progressively moves from a 0.5 up to a 0.7. So again, just something really trying to match that athlete and grow with it. We're not just making one junior slalom ski that starts at a 118 and it's the same construction at a 150. The idea, is to give that athlete the same high performance that you see at those elite levels.
So Matt, we had a good question come in about multi-event skis versus slalom and GS skis for U10 and under. So what's the distinction?
For us, for our smallest ski, we make it's called the GSL 118. It's a slalom graphic, obviously, but this is our combi full square sidewall wood core ski for that U18 that's really hard charging. Otherwise, we recommend, if you're going with only one ski, obviously, to go with a slalom ski. If you need something a little bit longer, 122, 129, depending on the size of the athlete. We also offer a foam core capped Race Tiger Junior ski with this slalom graphic. It does not come with a plate. So that's a little friendlier, a little bit of a step between the real little junior skis and moving into the race line. So for us, it's a slalom graphic, but it is the G118. This model is called a GSL. So GS and slalom combined. That's our only true combi ski. The big difference, moving on, continuing with our slalom skis updates, is the plates. So this is something that we're really unique and able to market is part of our brand. So we are able to, everything was built side by side, skis and bindings and plates are all tested together as one thing to be developed. So new junior plate last year is a little bit shorter. For the smaller sizes, the 118, 122, 129, and then when we get into GS 130, all come with this two-piece plate. So a gap in the middle, floating square front and rear bearings. So that just allows, the idea being to allow the whole ski to flex openly and move through the whole thing, not creating a dead spot under the athlete's foot, which is what we had with one-piece plates in the past. So this just allows the ski to flex and go through its full flex range, allowing that athlete to get the ski up on edge and carve. For our larger junior slalom skis, starting at a 136, and then the 143 and 150, all come with the one-piece junior plate with a hinge here in the middle. So this is something that's unique. It came right down from some of the World Cup prototype plates. And it just, again, allows that plate to open up and flex through the entire pattern of the ski, not creating a dead spot or stiffening the middle of the ski underfoot. So front and rear floating square bearings as well. That allows the plate at both ends to move while it's fixed underfoot. So same as we said, the skis got softer torsionally in the tip, but still retain that rigidity underfoot to create a powerful platform. So then moving into our adult slalom skis. So for us, the jump is at 150. It's a junior ski. That's, as I said, though, a standalone ski with a stiffer construction and a little bit more metal. So it's not a 150 that's the same as our 136. But then we jump into 155 is where we jump to the adult construction and adult ski. So you get an UVO. It just helps dampen it, keep the tip of the ski on the snow and engaged in rough conditions, as well as the piston plate. But construction-wise, this ski got updated last year with, again, softer tip, keeping that kind of, this theme of softening just this top part from about, here up, those top 6 inches, is something that actually came down from our elite World Cup athletes with their prototypes and testing different things. They just wanted a ski that allowed them to roll into the turn cleaner and easier and then release smoother. They were just finding that it was a little hard to get the tip to engage and then hard to get it to release the bottom of the turn. So this is something that's come down through all of our slalom line directly from the World Cup, but transitions all the way through our 165s down to our junior skis. So for us, we make a 155 for FIS women and a 157. 155 has 2 sheets of metal, while the 157 has 3 sheets of metal. This is a great ski for that U16, first year FIS woman, or a slightly lighter athlete, or maybe not as powerful of an athlete. Somebody that's just looking for, that needs that. It's not that one is faster than the other or one is better. This is, again, going to be athlete driven. And this is something that you guys need to be talking with your coaches on and deciding what model is best for you. But that's the distinction between our 157 and our 155. It's basically 2 sheets of metal and 3 sheets of metal. And then our 165, again, it got that tip reconstruction as well as staying stable underfoot. But you get a piston plate at this level. This is a 14 millimeter plate. The 57 and 55 come with a 10 millimeter plate. So that's just the amount of plastic on top. It's not necessarily that much stiffer, just gives that, it's a little bit paired correctly for that larger 165 for that FIS man. So this is a ski that we have, we have some of our better U16 boys moving on to this ski. And again, that's just a conversation that you're going to have with your shop and your coach, whether you're moving to this ski as a U16 or moving to this ski as a FIS guy. That's obviously very athlete dependent, ability, size, all of that. The piston plate, I'll talk about a little bit here. This is obviously a technology that Marker has had for a long time. This is a plate that has been the pinnacle of plate technology in the ski world. So you have a piston plate to control the ski when it rebounds and flexes, not to control it going this way, but actually controlling it going the other way. Floating bearings in the back, fixed here, and then construction here. So this has been a great plate, well tested for you guys when we got into bindings a little bit more. This plate has stayed the same for whole pattern. So this is something that I get a lot as we, hopefully less as we move forward with new bindings that were new last year, but some people are still running that old Excel binding. You can run that on this plate. I should have mentioned the junior plates are only compatible with our new 3-hole pattern. So hopefully there aren't too many people running those old Excel 12s, but so those junior plates are only compatible with current binding models, but the piston plate has stayed compatible with all.
Matt, the question, as long as we're talking about the FIS slalom skis, there's a question on what are the factory edge settings, base edge and side edge for the slaloms, or for the FIS skis specifically, and are they ready to go from the factory?
So ready to go at a fist level is probably a hard question to jump into a little bit. Kind of depends on what you consider ready to go. For us, all of our skis come at a 0.7 base bevel and a 3-degree side. This is something that Volkl's put a lot of time and energy and a lot of financial efforts into redoing their finishing line at the factory in Straubing. So we're seeing skis coming out at a really high quality. But ready to go, that's an athlete preference. You know, some people run 0.7, some people run 0.5, some people run flat in slalom for base bevels. That's all going to be your personal preference. If you want 0.7, that's great. It comes that way out of the factory. And for those junior athletes, I would say they're ready to ski out of the wrapper. But for those FIS and elite athletes, that's going to be your personal preference, whether you want to run 3 degrees or 4 degrees on the side and what your base bevel is. But they ski great out of the wrapper. I can say that from having done it myself. But that's something you're going to have to dive into. But for us, they come 0.7 and 3. And
they are prepared coming out of the factory.
Yeah.
It's not like you're getting a blank ski.
Yeah. So you're getting it ground. They have structure. We have a brand new finishing line, all new machines in the factory. So hopefully you guys can see that a little bit. But we're really proud of the grinds that we're putting on our skis out of the factory. This is something that even through COVID, we've continued this process of redoing and completely gutting and all new machines and everything. A really impressive project. And it's continued all the way through COVID for us. So all new finishing base and all new edging machines as well. So jumping into junior GS, this is an all new line of skis for us and something that I'm really, really excited about. This continues with that Next Generations campaign. As Megan mentioned, Eric Schlope has come on board as a US athlete, as well as Mike Curtis is also, and so we were able to test prototypes with their children in Park City this year, as well as continuing to test in Europe. So this is something that's really exciting, carries along in the line with our brand new slalom skis last year. So all new GS skis. That is the change in graphics. So all of our junior GS skis, as you can see, have new graphics. Our tweener and adult skis will continue with a carryover graphic. So that's why they look different. It's just a brand new lineup for us. So it starts at a 130 and goes up through 170. So for us, that same storyline of new side cuts, so a little bit wider tip, and just making it a little bit more friendlier for that athlete, softening the tip construction, and then progressing through the line with the wood core layups and construction, as well as the thickness of Tietnel in there to progress again with that athlete, so that not only are they growing physically, but also technique-wise, the skis are there to match them. So on our plates for these, the 130 has a 2-piece plate, same as the smaller slalom skis. And then at 137, we move to that 2-piece plate. So a new difference for us this year is 151 17-meter radius. So for you U14s out there that have to have a 17-meter radius minimum for GS, this is really important. That smaller U14, it's just moving up. We now offer it a 151 GS ski with a 17-meter radius. So this is a great addition to the line. And again, just making it more friendly, more ability for it to continue to progress technique and move up through the ranks. So you're not handicapped by your equipment in any way. For us, we moved to, in the past, we've gone 156 to 171, have all 17-meter radius, which fit the legal or the regulations for U14 and up for USSA. So now it goes 17 for the 151 and 158 new sizes, and then 165 is a 18-meter and 170 is 19-meter. This just allows, it's a more probably correct designation of what the skis actually are with the side cuts and everything on them. In the past, we've just said 17. Now we're putting a true radius to those skis. But as we mentioned before, it's quite a bit easier. They're more forgiving and a better skiing ski. So that doesn't mean that if you were on a 166 last year, it was said 17 and you're going to move to the 170 this year, it's going to be 19. It's not going to be a huge jump. This isn't going to be something where you're going to say, oh my God, I can't turn this. This is actually going to be faster, allow you to create a better GS turn and move down the hill progressively. That shorter radius just makes it harder to release the ski and harder to generate speed. So the next jump is at 174. We jump to a adult junior construction. So this is where you get the UVO, piston plate as we talked about on the slalom skis, and a different graphic, obviously. So this is a beefier wood core with a little bit more metal in it. So a jump from that 170 to 174, and it goes 178, 183, and 188 27-meter. Those are all of our junior skis. So for that U16 and down, that 188-27 is great for those U16s boys that are looking for that longer ski, but don't want to move straight to the fifth ski. So it allows them to still be within their, have a longer ski, be faster with it, but with that core set regulations at U16, it just is a little friendlier, plays a little better for that 27-meter max distance. So this is our 188-27. So it's a great ski for us. We've had a lot of success with it, along with the 183, 180, and 178. Those skis all carry over this year, same skis as last year. This year, a new ski for us is a 188 30-meter ski we brought in. We now have 2 models of this. This is something I want to convey to you guys and get out there. There's 2 models. We brought in a new ski that has a softer tip and a little bit more forgiving construction. This ski is just in line with matching up with the same storyline that we have between 157 and 155. This is something that you should be talking with your coach, but this is a ski that we brought in March, ran it through spring testing with US athletes and had great success with it. We weren't sure if what we were going to do with this ski. And after successful spring testing, we ended up bringing in a bunch of them this year. So that's just another option for you athletes moving either up into FIS or, throughout your full FIS career. This isn't something that I'm going to say, okay, it's only for first years or it's only for super light girls. This is something that's going to be ability driven and also personal preference and what your coach wants to see. We have some top elite athletes on this ski. And it's just what they liked. They tested both and they felt that that ski allowed them to run a more direct line and ski how they wanted to. So, but I just want to make that clear that there are now 2 models of skis out there at a 188-30.
Now, you got the question, it's a good one. And the question is about the weight at which someone would make the move between junior and adult model skis. And they're asking specifically for female athletes. So perhaps weight or age group or ability or what drives that jump to the adult ski?
So for slalom for female athletes, it's obviously a little bit easier in that adults, you're moving quickly from that 150 to that 155 adult ski, and that's as long as you're going to need to go in your career. So for that, we see that move at pretty much at first year between second year U14 and first year U16. Most of our first year U16 girls are running that 155. So it's not so much a weight, it's an ability and age group. The biggest thing with age group is the course set changes. So see a little bit more distance, a little bit more top level course set at U16. So it just allows, it becomes more friendly to run that 155. But that's going to be ability driven. But most of it is that change at first year U16. And then for GS skis, that move is probably going to happen between the 170 and 174, somewhere in that U14, second year U14 age. So, and then moving progressively up. I mean, most of our, for female athletes, first year U16s are on somewhere between 174 and 183. Probably a majority fall on that 178, 183 ski for GS. And then they move from that 183 straight into the 188 women's 30. So that was the reasoning for bringing in this new ski. It's a little friendlier for that jump. We do have a couple athletes that have tried the 188-27, and it can be successful and faster at times. It does get hard when you run into that one tight course set at that important championship event or something like that, and you then become handicapped by the little bit that you gained. So we don't have too many female athletes running 188-27. It's mostly a second year U16 men. And then for men's skis, we have a 1.893 30-meter ski. So at that offering, we only have one model there. So, and that was driven by demand and what they wanted. There is a lesser model that does exist, but we are not bringing that into the US. Just because those elite FIS guys, they all wanted the better ski. So we're moving everybody to that and moving away from having that lower end ski that just sat in the warehouse and didn't go anywhere. Nobody wanted that one. So now we just have that good ski. Do we have any more questions on skis, Jeff? All right, so I'm going to jump into, we'll jump to bindings, I guess, progress right in. So for bindings, we start at race 10 or race 8. Sorry. So this is a junior child lug compatible boot only binding. So this is something that we are really proud of. We don't make a true race multi-lug adaptable binding. So this just allows a really strong power transfer from the boot and a really secure platform with the binding. So this race 8 it goes up to 8, obviously. Starts at 2, sorry. I was like, and it's child lug compatible only. So for you guys that aren't familiar with this, on a junior boot, you have a child lug and an adult lug. That's the size, both width and height of the lug, and it says it right here on the bottom of your boot. So you'll either see a C or an A on the instep of your boots. Every company has to mark that. So that's just really important when you're buying bindings and knowing whether or not you have a child lug or an adult lug. For us, especially, we make it, as I said, child lug only, and then we progress into adult lug only bindings. If you're running those back and forth, it's not going to be safe. It doesn't pass. It's just not going to work. So then moving up, we have the race 10, which is the same binding construction, compact heel, sliding AFD as the race 8, but an adult lug and a 10-din binding. For those high performance athletes with an adult lug that are looking for a little bit more binding at a 10-din, we have the 10 TCX. This is a great binding. It brings down the same TCX heel as our adult bindings. So better power transfer, a more secure binding, just a better power transfer. This is what the majority of our young, hard charging athletes that are in adult lug boots are running at a 10-din binding. Then we move into the 12 X comp. So this X comp is was a new binding for us last year. This is why I was mentioning the 3-hole pattern. All of the junior bindings have always had the 3-hole pattern, but we're moving into this new X comp. So this combines the reliability and performance of the old Excel binding with the high performance of the comp binding, while still performing a reliable and safe platform. So you get all the benefits of both in this binding. So a 3-hole pattern it's just a better performance. It allows for more vibrations to come down the ski and is a little bit less aggressive. We found with the old Excel, it was great if you ran that straight and late line and just wanted to pin it. At a really high level, it worked, but it just wasn't forgiving when it came to making recoveries, is really what I mean by that. It just is a little bit more user-friendly, allowed the athlete to make faster and better recoveries. And at the end of the day, who can make those recoveries the fastest usually ends up with who's going to win the race. Very rarely are you making perfect turns on every turn the whole way down. So this is a 12-din binding. You still have those independent moving wings. So along with rollers on the 12 and the 16. Moving into the 18 X comp. This is our premier high performance binding for those FIS athletes. You get a Teflon AFD, where we have steel gliding AFDs on the 12s and the 16s, and magnesium wings and heel casing. So as well as no more wheel sliding, just creates a little bit tighter and a higher performance binding for us. So that's our 18 DIN, obviously. But we're really excited about these bindings. They were new last year for us and really performed at a high level and allowed that athlete to achieve what they were looking for. So those are all of our bindings, new bindings are compatible on all of our skis, obviously. Moving into boots, we start the junior race line at the 50. This is a great little boot for those athletes just getting into ski racing, high performance. So a good little gap filler between your junior consumer boot and moving into that race world. Then we progress up into the 60, 21.5 and up, I believe. You get a power strap with the 60 as well as the 4-buckle boot. So just progressing up the line, a little bit higher performance out of this. Important to note, at 21.5, it's still a child lug. 22.5, it becomes an adult lug boot. So you might be in a 60, but 2 different sizes are 2 different lugs. And as I mentioned, that's important when we go to look at bindings. A relatively new boot to our line that we've had for a couple of years now, but has really been a high performing boot for us. And where we really jump into that elite high performance race boot is the DRS 75 low cuff. This is a boot that went through a ton of testing with young athletes, kind of the same as our skis. And we stand by it as really high performance. And it sets a tone for those athletes moving up in their line in performance. So this is a boot great for U12, U14. We've had a lot of success with it. Fully cannibal soles. So you can lift these, you can do everything just like you would on a plug boot, canting on the cuff ability. And then it is a low cuff. So this is a great boot for those young U12 athletes that their feet have grown before they go up. And we don't want that boot coming all the way up their shin to their knees. So this allows them to still have leverage over the front of the boot while being in the proper size. And this boot, really importantly, comes in a true 21.5. So that's a 262 lug size. So it's not a 22 with a bigger liner in it. This is a true 21.5 junior boot. And at that size, it is an adult lug boot. So Really soft, great, easily. The nice thing with this is for those boot fitters and those elite athletes, there's a lot of customization that can happen at this. You can cut the inside, you can do everything, but the biggest thing is that it's a low cuff, nice smooth flex, and that athlete is able to get over the front of the boot. Moving up our race line, we go to a 90 low cuff, which is saying 75, just moving into a 90 flex. So that's great for that larger athlete that still wants a 97 last boot, not ready to move into a plug boot, and a low cuff as well. So still able to get over the front of the boot. And as I mentioned, flexing your boot is the most important. This is the connection between the only thing that's touching your body, part of your equipment. That everything that your body is doing and trying to generate speed starts with the boot. So then moving up into our World Cup plug boots. This was a brand new boot for us last year. It's been on the World Cup level for 2 years now. And I can say it is the exact same boot that we're seeing success on the World Cup level. The boot that you're able to get is the exact same boot that Alice Robinson, Seb Solvag, all of our elite World Cup athletes, Storm Plumhouse, other US ski team athletes are in. So this is something that sets us apart and something that we're really proud of that we offer that. It's not something special at that elite level. So this is a boot we had a ton of success with. Moving from our old boot, we went from 105 outer to a 100 and then a true 92 millimeter last on the inner. We also lowered the buckles 2 millimeters so they're closer to the boot, as well as moving them up. That just allows more room for angulating before hitting the buckles. We also lowered this lower buckle down so that it wraps tighter around the lower leg, as well as changing this slit so it wraps a little bit more. Again, just making that connection to the shin stronger and allowing that athlete to generate more power. For you guys that have been living under a rock for skiing, this is the same boot that we won our first world championships with this year with Seb Solvag and Cortina. So really exciting year for Dalbello. A lot of firsts and a lot of big progression. So
you have a good question here on when would you transition from a boot like the 75 and 90 into a plug boot?
So again, this is going to be a conversation that you want to have with your coaches, with your shop, and it's going to be athlete dependent. But for those elite athletes, we're going straight from the 75 and jumping right into the DRS World Cup XS, so our softest boot with the XS. And that's happening at around that second year U14 for those stronger athletes. And then progressing, second year U14, first year U16, you definitely want to be in that plug boot just to generate that extra power and just, progressing with your skiing. You need to be in a high performance race boot, depending on your level, of course. But that's going to be a conversation you're going to have with your coach and athlete specific. But the earliest that we see it really is at that second year U14, maybe that bigger, better first year U14, but U14 is where it starts to move from that DRS 75. And as I said, some are jumping straight from the 75 to the XS. And all of our plug True World Cup boots come with a full lace-up liner. This is a new liner, better construction foam, a little bit higher density, just for that durability and length, lifetime length of the liner, as well as a little bit stronger performance with it. So everywhere you see this red foam, there's some in the heel pocket as well. And they all come with a lace-up liner. Our XS has a Velcro strap, and then moving into our SS, S, M, and H. So extra soft, super soft, soft, medium, and hard. The SS and up all come with a booster with a ratchet strap on there. But they all come with lace-up liners. It's all the same boot, just different flexes.
Okay, and as you go through those, Matt, there's a couple of questions that come in. the most common flexes that you would see on U16 girls first and second year?
Depending on the size of the athlete and the ability, the most common flex is in excess on that U16 girl. Some are in SSs. Again, that's athlete dependent, mostly size at that age, but some ability as well. But the most common is still in excess, probably.
So those are the two softest flexes
Yeah.
of our World Cup boots.
Yeah, our two softest flexes in those boots. And then as you progress, I mean, I think it's something that gets talked about, but there's this myth somewhere times out there where the most elite athletes, the stiffer your boot, the faster you are. The top athletes are in the stiffest stuff possible and the most high performance. And that might be true with a couple athletes, depending on what they like, but that's not across the board. Some of our elite U.S. U.S. ski team athletes are skiing in relatively soft boots. It's what they enjoy. They want to be able to flex through the whole boot and really get the most out of it. Just because you're in a stiffer boot doesn't mean it's going to be a higher performance boot. You need to have the right boot for you. It doesn't mean that if you're in a hard boot as a U16, somehow you're going to be faster than everybody else. And that's also, it's not always strength dependent. You might be the strongest person in the weight room, but depending on how you ski, you might want to be in a softer boot or a stiffer boot. And that's a conversation you're going to need to have with your coach or with us, or, there's Volkl and Mark or Dalbello, people all over the country that are willing to answer those questions. So, any other boot specific questions, Jeff?
Yeah, there's a question on the cuffs. Are the DRS cuffs softer durometer plastics versus the World Cup? So I would assume, like, if you were to compare the super soft and the extra soft to like a 90 or a 110 DRS, is it the softness or is it just the fact that it's a plug?
Yep, so it is a different plastic. The World Cup boots are definitely going to be a stiffer cuff. So actually, while we have cuffs on as the subject, for us, the 22 and 23 share a cuff, 24 stands alone, 25 and 26 share a cuff, 27, 28 share a cuff. This is something that was done at the testing level and the elite level athletes so that we can have true World Cup, those top World Cup girls testing that 22, 23. 24 needs to stand alone as that, larger female athlete or that smaller male athlete. And then 25, 26 is where the majority of your World Cup men are in. So that boot was tested together as well as the 27, 28. But the cuffs themselves, as far as construction, are going to be, that XS which is our softest World Cup boot. The cuff is still going to be not significantly, but a little bit stiffer for sure than our 90 low cuff. And it is two different plastics as well. So that's where that comes from, as well as a completely different construction.
There's a couple of questions about removing one of the screws on the back of the cuff. What's the process there? How do you?
So there's two rivets in the back of our boots. It's both Allen key. That tool actually comes in the box. So something that's pretty unique for us is in your box, if you get a World Cup boot, comes lifters, both 3 and 5 mil, some extra parts, as well as a tool to adjust the cuff canting bolts, as well as to loosen these two rear rivets. In the smaller boot or in the non-World Cup boots, you get the tools, just not the lifters and extra parts in the box. So you can just take that out. That's a okay option if you're, I'd take one out, don't ever take both out. It's an okay option if you're looking to test and see if a softer boot is where you're looking to progress. But the power is generated through the spine of the boot. So I would not have that be your fix-all solution to just rip a rivet out. If that's something you're on the hill, it's an easy, hey, maybe a softer boot is where we want to go, or softening the boot a little bit. You can easily pull a plug out, run it for a couple runs. Don't just do it for one. Definitely any testing you want to do over the course of a couple runs and get some real data there. But then I would recommend going in and cutting the boot and softening it and making a true fix. It's just having both bolts in there is how the boot was designed, and it creates a better power transfer from that upper cuff that you're flexing into the lower boot, which is then obviously what's connected to your binding and generating power into the ski. So don't ever take both out, especially on those junior boots that only have one. You take both out, you don't have any connection then to the lower part of the boot, and you're not able to generate power through the spine of the boot. Again, that's something where go into your local, race shop or any shop with, significant boot knowledge and ability to work on boots, and have them cut the boot and soften it. There's plenty of modifications that we can do to a boot permanently to make it. Taking a rivet out is a great solution short term when you want to know on the hill if that's the direction you want to go in. But as a permanent solution, I wouldn't recommend it. All of our 97 last boots, so that's 90 low cuff and down for what's here, all come with just regular sliding liners, no lace ups there. We also offer a 97 last 110, 130, and 140 boots that are built in the same mold as our World Cup boots on the outer with a different plug on the inside. So that's a 97 last. Still high performance, but not a true World Cup plug. And those all come with slide-in liners as well. So just for that, maybe that larger athlete or high school athlete that wants a more comfortable boot right out of the package.
Great. Well, I'm told by the ski racing folks that we have a winner of the bag. And that is going to be Mr. Jack Rowell. I think I have your name right. So congratulations. We'll get your email address through the direct message here. So that's great. Congratulations. And then if Matt, you want to summarize real quick? And
yeah,
we're looking forward to an awesome season.
So congrats, Jack. We'll get that bag out to you. That's awesome. Maybe we'll throw a little extra swag in there too for you. So in summary, slalom skis carry over from last year, which were all new skis, softer tips, easier to turn, easier to initiate, new side cuts and lengths. GS ski, junior GS, all new for this year, as well as carry through for our upper level skis there. But that new FIS women's GS ski for sure, definitely take note of that. Bindings, just want to make sure everybody knows, child lug, adult lug, that's very important. All new, we're really excited on that. And boots, and I just want to reiterate the success that Dalbello boot is now having at the World Cup. And that is, it's nothing fancy. That's the question I always get. What are the Euros on? What's the difference? Why is the boot on the World Cup different? It's not. We can have that conversation till the cows come home, but it's not any different. So they have they might have stronger, stiffer flex boots, but that's all athlete dependent over there, or even here. So some of our elite U.S. ski team athletes are in the same boot. Probably your U16 girls are buying off the shelf. So, but the success rate, we had, I think, 4 World Championship medals this year and 6 World Cup wins. So that speaks for itself on what we're getting done. Or 3 World Cup wins, 6 podiums. Sorry. But really exciting. Our first World Championship medal, gold with Seb Solvak, followed by silver by Adrian Pirtle, both in the men's slalom, and then Indra also in women's team event, as well as Seb Solvak winning gold again in the team event for Norway. So really great, first success season for us in world champs in Dalbello. Obviously, Volkl has been a household name for high performance skis, but we're now fully there in both. So I just wanted to thank Ski Racing again for putting this on. I think it's a great event, a great way to get some more knowledge out there. And as I said, don't hesitate to reach out, post in the comments on Facebook. We'll be monitoring that. Happy to hop on there and answer anything you guys have as you continue to watch this. But I just want to thank Megan again for putting this on. I think it's a great opportunity to get some knowledge out to you guys before you head to your shop or your local fit night. And we're really excited for, fingers crossed, ski racing to be back full on normal this year. See what happens, but it's a great season last year. So thank you.